Nate's Wild Ride.
And welcome to Nate's Wild Ride Cast, where we talk all things Colorado with a little bit of an edge. If you're new here, the goal is to entertain, inform, maybe even get you a little bit enlightened. So buckle up, keep your arms and legs inside at all times, and enjoy the ride. We're just going to be celebrating something here in Grand Junction that's near and dear to my heart, just wherever it is. We're going to be talking about local music, and I've got a buddy of mine in the studio. This guy's been around. He's, if you want to talk about local music in Western Colorado, it's a good guy to talk to. I've been saying his name wrong forever. It's Kris Petross.
Yes, and like he said, if you can't remember it, it's like Tetris. That's how I remember it.
And that's how I'm going to remember it from this day forward.
I'm surprised I don't mispronounce it, you know?
Right. How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing well. So you're a drummer, and you're like a master drummer. You're an awesome drummer, and you've been in all kinds of different bands, and you're from here, right?
I'm born and raised, man.
Okay, yep. So you're an OG.
Yeah.
Tell me let's just get a little history on you, if you could. Tell me about your story, how it began, and how you kind of got into music and got into the music scene eventually.
Right. I have family members who are musicians. So one of the bands I'm in, LAD Theory, the singer of that band, Brandon, is my uncle. Okay. So when I was a little boy, he would play drums because he started off on drums, and that I just naturally fell into it. That was the instrument that I just kind of went to. So just started doing that, and then in high school is when I kind of really started picking it up, like 8th grade, freshman year.
Like a lot of people, yeah.
Like a lot of people, 13 years old, you have nothing to do, you're kind of, you have that teenage angst, how do you release it? And mine was, luckily, I had a drum set that I could do that. It was nice. Back then it was easy. You can do your own shows, you go promote it throughout all the high schools, all your friends show up. It was so easy back then compared to now, where it's like, dude, I gotta work tomorrow morning, I'm not going to your show, or I have kids, I can't make it.
Yeah.
Back then it was like, no, yeah, we'll be there. So you go plaster the whole high schools with all your flyers, and you can pack houses. Man, it was so easy back then.
Right, yeah, this is bringing me back. That's cool. Yeah. So you mentioned LAD Theory is a band you're currently in, right?
Yes.
What other bands have you been in over the years? Like, I know there's going to be a few, right?
How much time do we have?
How about one hand?
Okay, so I was recently in Stone Death.
Yeah.
Love those guys, great dudes. LAD Theory. An old one I'm sure people will remember back in the day was A Smile from the Trenches. I did that. I did the CMU college, kind of jazz thing, which was great.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I did that. But now I just do the hired gun gigs.
Yeah.
So if anybody needs a drummer and they're willing to pay, I'll go play it, and it's easy.
Yeah, man, and that's kind of what happens when you get to a certain point, I know, and it's not a bad place to be.
No, it's actually, to me, I found it's the best place to be.
Well, there you go, that I'm glad it's working out.
Yeah, thanks.
Kind of on that same vein, you've been around in the local, Grand Junction music scene for a while. It's my buddy Kris Petross, KP we call him. What were some of the coolest opening spots you've ever done, and coolest connections you've made? Because we've talked about the connection you made with Mario Lally from Fatso Jetson and Yawning Man before that. Me and KP are both big fans of the stoner rock, desert rock kind of scene. What other cool openers have you been, and connections have you made playing in the Grand Junction music scene?
It's kind of weird to think about, because I have such a hard time being oh, well, that's a huge connection to me. Everyone are just they're my friends, you just meet new friends. But Mario Lally was one very sweet dude. Him and his band were just here last week.
Yeah.
And they were playing at Mesa Theater, which I'm going to name drop them for a minute. Without Mesa Theater, I would not have a musical career. Thank them so much. Rick and Brett are great at doing what they do.
Mesa Theater is the place for rockers.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Being in Stone Death, since they were signed, you just meet people. The record label we were on, I think Devo was on there.
Oh, really?
And who else? Filter just signed on to them. So that was another one that I kind of briefly chatted with, was
cool.
Richard Patrick from that band.
Is he not I don't want to be out of line here, but I've met him and talked to him too. He's kind of a weird guy, right?
It could have been because it was all in typing. He didn't come off that way to me, but I'm sure in person. But again, all musicians are weird.
I mean,
we're all crazy in a way.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. I'm also a musician too, by the way, so I'm not just picking on anybody.
Right. Yeah, no, there's something in all of our brain chemistry that's just like slightly off, I think.
I think so.
But no, I mean, just playing at Mesa Theater and opening up for bigger bands, you meet them.
Yeah.
And you realize, wow, these guys are really cool. Like, everybody here gives, not everybody, but there are some musicians or parts of the scene here that don't like dad rock, quote unquote.
Okay.
So, Buck Cherry is one, depending on who you ask. But I will say, on record, they are the nicest dudes.
They are. Super nice.
They are very sweet. Shannon Larkin from Godsmack was another one I met.
I've heard that he's super cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it just all depends.
Yeah.
It all depends on the day. It all just depends on a lot of stuff.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Very cool, man.
Yeah.
We'll talk to my buddy KP a little more here in just a little while and talk about some other local bands and artists today as we kind of celebrate the local music scene here in Western Colorado. So that all on the way. Keep it locked right here on 95 Rocks. Departure and celebrating the local music scene here in Western Colorado. Talking to my buddy Kris Petross, KP, drummer extraordinaire here in the Grand Valley in Western Colorado. We're going to talk to him a little more in just a bit. But I asked this question on Facebook and on our 95 Rock app as well. This was kind of when, things were getting back to normal. 2022 was basically when that started to happen. I asked what local bands you're most excited to see live again, and got all kinds of responses, including the Goodman Band, definitely a staple around here. El Camino Burnout, another one. Sworn Us Under, great metal band from right here in Grand Junction. Awaiting Eternity, those guys are buddies. Those guys are awesome. Another great metal band here in town. Ralph Dinosaur, a local legend. Out of Nowhere, another one mentioned. Union of None was mentioned. I've seen them a couple times, and man, if you're not familiar, I would definitely recommend checking them out. They do a lot of old 90s tunes and things of that nature. A lot of covers, but a great band. Peach Street Revival, of course, one of the most popular bands in the Grand Valley, doing great things, doing big things. So super proud of them and happy for them. They were mentioned, of course. Wave 11, another one. You can check out that full list of, bands that people were excited about coming back here in 2022. Find that on the Nate Wild page at 95 Rock FM as well as the 95 Rock app. Anywhere, we're kind of staying here in Grand Junction in the Grand Valley and celebrating the local music scene. Got a guest joining me in the studio. We're talking to Kris Petross. I'm getting his name right this time. Buddy of mine is a drummer in town. We're talking about the local music scene here in Grand Junction. You've been, obviously, in the scene for quite a while. I've told you this. We talked about this years and years ago, back in 2005, 2006. I was in a band that played the Mesa Theater. That was kind of my first introduction to the Mesa Theater and to the Grand Junction music scene. Mm-hmm. Met some bands way back then that now I'm reconnecting with, a couple of the Resonate guys, like Aaron Frick and Robbie and I remember your band from 15 years ago or whatever. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. So tell me, just being a guy that's been here that whole time, if you had to just name a band that you came up with, or one of your friends' bands, or some local artist that, if it was a yearbook, you were going to say this is the one most likely to succeed. Is there somebody you would put that yearbook quote under?
Oh, wow. I don't want to be biased, but...
Yeah. Be biased.
Only because after I quit the band, so actually I'm not being biased because this was all after I quit, was The Smile from the Trenches. So I left, and then after that they were playing Warped Tour. They were playing with all these bands like Escape the Fate and Story of the Year and Devil Wears Prada, all these scene bands from back in the day.
Yeah.
They made it. And here we were when we started. We were just these punk kids, 18 years old, right out of high school, touring in Vegas, not totally ignorant to all of it.
Yeah.
And they made it. So it's kind of cool to look back. Now, I don't think they're still a band, unfortunately. But if I had to pick, yeah, it was them. There was just something about that band that there was chemistry with.
Chemistry is huge.
It is.
You know, people don't really realize, I mean, the importance of that in a band. I mean, it's like you're married to, you know, 3 or 4 whatever other guys, and you're not married to them because, you know, you're friends. You're married to them because you gel as a unit. You know what I mean? And in order to keep that and to make great music and to, you know, not be Oasis or one of these bands that hates each other, you know what I mean? It takes a lot. So chemistry is huge.
It did. But I also think, too, kind of comparing to the Oasis thing, you know, when you're 19 years old and you are recording in Los Angeles, you're doing all these big things. This 3-letter word starts to creep in with all the members, and it will break stuff up. The ego word.
I knew it. I was going to guess.
Is a big one.
Yeah.
No pun. And when you're young, you don't think about it. When you're older, you're like, wait a minute, this is a business. And so that word is what separates all of it. So if you understand it's a business, it makes things go a lot better. Or hopefully more smooth.
Yeah.
Or it will take it the opposite way. It's a weird game.
Ego is a 3-letter word that's a 4-letter word, and you're absolutely right. That's something you definitely learn. And if you don't learn, you know, you could get yourself in trouble. I could go on and on about that as being a musician and a radio guy. And having worked with, you know, luckily I'm blessed. Everybody that I work with now is great. But in the past, you know, you work with people that they get a little taste of that ego. They get a little taste of that fame. And if you let that go to your head, it can totally corrupt you as a person. Like, I'm not going to get too much into this, but I know about ego, and gosh, man, yeah, it's something.
It's a dangerous game, absolutely. But I think if you just remember, hey, this could all be gone tomorrow, which it can, no matter how good, no matter how talented, no matter who your contacts are, no matter who you know, no matter what, it can all end tomorrow.
Yeah.
As long as you keep that, I think that kind of diminishes the ego a little bit. Or it should.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, no, sure.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, this has been fun. I'm so glad you came in to talk to me today.
Yeah.
We're talking to my buddy Kris Petross, Petros. I need to spell it right first, man. But
no, you did. Good job.
Good. KP, drummer extraordinaire here in Grand Junction in the Grand Valley. Really appreciate you coming in to talk about, you know, local music scene, your experience in it over the years. Before we let you go, tell me what you got going on right now, because I know we're Facebook friends, and you post these videos of just you drumming on the drums. I watch probably about 95% of them because I just love seeing what you're doing. You know, you're giving lessons like pretty consistently, which is impressive. Tell me what you got going on exactly.
So right now it's kind of like, as I mentioned, it's just kind of the hired gun game. I haven't played that many shows this year, but the shows I have played have been bigger, and you know, it's been nice that way. The lessons, those are great. I love teaching it, because to me, I get to kind of like pass the torch to younger generations that want to do it, because I didn't have that luxury. I had to put on headphones and play to my favorite musicians.
Same, man, yeah.
But the videos are kind of just me just messing around because I'm bored on my days off, you know? So I do that, and sometimes you get the criticizers on there, but then sometimes you get people who do ask genuine questions. So it's just kind of my way of focusing on my own craft instead of the band aspect, which I have since I was 13 years old. So this is a whole new world to me. I like it so far.
Good. It seems like it's going well.
Yeah. So,
if you're happy, you got mission accomplished, right?
Right. And that's the main part of all of this still that I try to have since I was 13 years old is always have fun. If you're not having fun, then there's something wrong.
Exactly. Then don't do it.
Absolutely.
Yep. KP, man, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Big thank you to my buddy Kris Petross for coming in and talking about the local music scene here in Western Colorado. Guy's got a lot of experience in the local music scene, and just can't thank him enough for coming in. On the next little feature we do, we're going to kind of be continuing this theme. My buddy Daniel Lee from Awaiting Eternity is going to come in and talk about his experience in the local music scene here in Grand Junction. So we're just going to keep on celebrating. And, you can, of course, catch this and other on-demand content on the Nate Wild page at 95rockfm.com, as well as the 95 Rock app.